Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's Way T Lightheart from Bioptimizers with another edition of the Awesome Health Podcast. And I'm excited today. We're going to be talking about the importance of sourcing high quality tonic herbs, algae, greens, and mushrooms from around the globe. And we have none other than a legend in our industry, Scott Linde, who grew up in the nature or natural place of Minnesota, very much like my home country of Canada, and loves tonic herbs, businesses, and mechanical things in life. Now, Scott founded Sun Potion Transformational Foods in February 2011, in many ways as a response to his desire to be of service to the planet. He is passionate about sharing the experience of tonic herbs with the world. Scott works with the suppliers who can meet with Sun Potion's stringent quality standards and commitment to purity, and only source organic and or wildcrafted products, never use ingredients that have been chemically treated in any way. And, I get asked all the time, different products that I use. And, you guys have such a great name in the industry. And I always like to shine light on one of the things that Bioptimizers that we do is we're clear about what we go after and what the things that we do. And we like to shine the light on other companies in the space who are doing things that we think deserve mention, deserve brought to the platform. And Sun Potion is one of those brands that I've used for years. I just this morning had some tocotrienols in the fridge. I use them every day. I really love that particular product that you make. And I would like to know, just for what got you started in the industry, like what drove you into the industry? What's the Sun Potion brand all about? How did you develop it? All that sort of stuff.
Well, first of all, just thank you so much for the invitation to come and join you here today and to speak with you and your listeners. And it's a real pleasure and honor to be here. What got me interested in, I love feeling good, right? So there's an aspect of just a pure, down and dirty, selfish, good old, I like feeling good kind of a thing on a certain level, initially that was like a thing where I had a history in doing a lot of endurance, extreme kind of endorphin rich sports and activities as a young person. And when I started getting into my mid-20s and I started learning through meditation teachers and some of these other sort of spiritual en routes about tonic herbs and adaptogens, and started getting access and trying a few of these things for myself, it just absolutely turned on a light in my body. And I went, oh, I love this. This is exactly what I'm into. This is so cool. This is kind of like being in junior and high school and blacking out at the finish line of every cross-country running race just to go into that complete bliss, samadhi, straight to the Godhead, that kind of ecstatic, full sensory body, feeling good. Now that wasn't a part, physical, characteristics weren't a part of my experience getting into tonic herbs and adaptogens, but certainly that kind of ecstatic, contagious feeling of I feel so good in my body. And looking around, finding those things for myself, looking around in industry, not really finding what I was looking for. And eventually just one day realizing, wow, this could be a project where I get to have fun. I get to be playing with substances, materials, and aspects of nature that I personally really enjoy and appreciate. And I can just make these things available to other people. If they're interested, if they want them, they can have access for themselves. And in the meantime, I'll have a fun project to put my love, put my attention, put my service into, and just grow a nice, positive gift to share with people.
That's great. That's a great attitude. I think you touched on a couple of things, and I can relate, is that when you've discovered some aspect of the health journey where you feel good, or you feel really good, and people start to notice and they ask you, what is the things that you do? And that's invariable the questions. And then you kind of source out some of the thing, you go down a rabbit hole, you get into it, and it's like, oh, wow, this is really exciting. You want to share it. What was the first product that Sun Potion came out with, or was there a series of products that you came up with? Because like if I go around to, I'll go to Sedona, Arizona, an eclectic little town. I stop in the local juicery, there's Sun Potion herbs. I go over to Air
They're
another eclectic
fantastic.
little place. They've got that.
Fantastic.
These little
Air fantastic. I love those people. Those are like my family.
Yeah. So you when you stop in these little places, which people have similar passions, they're very passionate about quality product, and some of the offerings that you have, you always find Sun Potion. And so why is it, or how is it, like where did the start of that? What was your first products, and what were maybe the values within the company that allowed it to create such an eclectic following of what I call world-class health advocates? And the world-class, interesting enough, are often people running a little shop, running a natural health store. That's what the ironic part is. It's not necessarily what's commercially known as the big enterprise. They're often, doing great work in a local community somewhere, and they really know their stuff, and they work with people one-on-one, and inadvertently, I'll always find your products there.
And their passion and their love is helping people, and their passion and their love is health and excellence and feeling good. So some of the ethos of the brand that just sort of, I feel like, makes Sun Potion a natural fit for places like you just mentioned, for places like the Kauai Juice Shop, for, like you're saying, these little hubs that are serving their communities, that are creating a whole vortex where almost any health conscious person that goes to, say, Sedona is going to find themselves in the local juicery for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a hand chocolatry. There's a couple other little folks in that community that are just anchoring down that benevolent, high vibe, spiritist access to the body. And in our shared communal flavor of how we do that is through food and through consumable, ingestible materials, plant materials. So for Sun Potion, we specialize in absolute best quality examples of mostly single ingredient, tonic herbs and adaptogens, and most often are concentrated or made water soluble or kind of potentized, activated, however you'd like to say it, in a way that's appropriate for that particular plant to have access and to be absorbed into our, beautiful human bodies. And the cool thing about plant material is plants and humans go way back, like way, way back. We've been eating plants for so long. And so even if you take a concentrated extract of a plant material, the body has this history and this intelligence to recognize plant material as a food and to consume and to metabolize it as such, which in the case of a really high quality, say, tonic herbal extract powder, is bringing that potentized plant chemistry, and then the body metabolizes it as if it's food. And then the body can take that plant chemistry and it moves it exactly to the place in the body where it's meant to go. So then we can actually use the chemistries that are in the plant material. And it really hangs its whole hat on this idea of the intelligence of nature, the intelligence of our human body, and titrating and putting in little bit, positive, positive, positive every day, such that we saturate ourselves with this benevolent positive, and the oogly booglies just don't have any room to hang out anymore. They all get kind of shouldered out, and there's not like a waiting room for them to hang out and attach themselves.
That's a great thing. What were the first products that you started, selling commercially? And did it start kind of inadvertently and then a company bore out of it, or do you got to a point it's like, we need to do a company?
No, it actually, so the first thing that really turned my switch and really, really got me excited was an introduction to Makona praerian's extract. And the standard, a meditation teacher was recommending I take this specific thing, which he didn't tell me where to get it or how to get it, but it was very specific. And I went and it was like, take this before you do your evening practice, right before you go to bed. It will change and affect and help support your dream state. You can keep doing your practices into your dream state if you have some of this support from this Makona praerians. And he's like, has to be the 15% extract. I'm like, okay. So I went and looked for it, couldn't find it anywhere. And eventually I found a little bulk bag of it in the raw food world, which was an online like raw food and superfood store that was based at the time, I think still, I'm sure it still is, in Ojai, California. And I found a bag of this that had been like punctured, piece of tape put over it, and it was like in the discount bin. And I just about did a backflip. I was like, I bought it, I took it home, I like binged on it for a week. I felt fantastic. And that was really probably at least 6 months of kind of searching around before I stumbled into that, or before that was presenting itself to me. Now, jump forward a couple of years from that. I'd been taking things like Makona consistently up to that point. I was really at the time really in love with this freshwater chlorella single cell algae that we actually still purvey from the same vendor. And it was grown in indoor laboratory. They use a sound frequency to shatter the cell wall. The taste and flavor is like, there's no contaminants because it's been grown in such a contained environment that you're just getting this clear transmission of what just the chlorella would taste like. You know, sometimes you can get a chlorella and it has this smell and tangy sort of dog food vibe to it. Not that. This is like, tastes like a smooth, soft, like round nut milk in your mouth. It has like this nutty flavor. It's almost so dark green, it's almost a black color. And in fact, my moving to Santa Barbara, I had like a full transmission picture just around the time I was getting ready to move over here of all the aspects of the brand. So there was no like easing in process. It went from no idea to like full cinematic movie of it's all done already. And I just went, oh wow, I just really, all I have to do is show up and be consistent and stick with it and keep doing the work every day. And these things are just going to naturally evolve and blossom themselves out into reality. And I mean, a lot of intuition. I mean, I'm saying I got to see the color pattern of the blue jar, the purple jar with the gold label. The name came in through some divining. The symbologies came in through like a direct, immediate knowing. Even how to handle basic beginning stages of business questions like registering the business with the state, all that kind of stuff. I just was like streaming like a fire hose, intuition, next. And I was doing like the whole kung fu, like next, you know, swatting things to the side and deflecting and jumping over stuff. And I really have to thank the practice of having had tonic herbs and adaptogens I wasn't like finding sourcing to create the brand. These sources are people that I was finding and accessing myself as an individual, not very conveniently and not really to their preference, might I add. But, you know, when it came time to make the project, it was like, oh, I already know the people. We know we'll figure out any problem that comes at us. And so it just kind of went from zero to party on real quick. I put together a little concept example. I brought it to my friend that was managing that raw food world. And I'd been, you know, hanging around over there, like gobbling up everything I could get my hands on for a couple of years at that point. And I said, I had this idea, like, check it out. And it was a chlorella. The first one was just a chlorella. And then the next one was like a chlorella with the Makona powder in it, maybe 20% ratio, something like that. Then the next one was the Makona with the ashwagandha in it. Or there was a Makona with this shilajit powder. But anyways, he said on the first glance, he was like, great, I'll take a couple of cases, bring it back next week. So I went from no idea to cinematic movie pictures to like just puke it out into a form so I could show something for it. Showed it to my friend, and like it was like there was commerce happening like within a very brief time after that.
I think that's really fascinating because I want to cross correlate this, because one of the things that I've noticed is people who cultivate a deep meditative practice and get involved in some enterprise in the world will describe this a similar process, which I myself have experienced. And the ironic thing is when you take that into the world of, say, business people, and I've never really qualified myself as a business person, although I have this business that emerged and I witness it ongoing and happening. They often shake their head when you're like, no, I've seen this. I've seen this. You get that. I call it a download or something. Like you said, as a transmission. It doesn't come from you; it comes through you, and there's a supreme level of confidence that, oh yeah, of course we're going to do this, and everyone else is looking like, well, they've got all these questions of how it won't work, and you're just kind of like navigating through life, and these things emerge. It's not that there isn't obstacles, and maybe they are right of those obstacles, but they don't seem to be the type of obstacles that you say, oh, we can't do this. You're like, oh, well, we need to find someone that can solve this, or how do we do that, or whatever. And it's an allowing as opposed to a driving. How much has that shaped the development of products at Sun Potion and maybe in your life in general?
Oh, absolutely. 100,000 million %. It's like, when you see it into your mind's eye, it doesn't matter if it's in physical reality yet or not. There's
Correct.
a multidimensional reality that's happening with all timelines right now at the same time. And so like getting it, popping the lights on in a room where you're surrounded, for you, where you'd be surrounded by like your whole Natural Products West Expo exhibit hall booth, and like you see all the products on the shelf, and you see your radiant, vibrant, awesome team that you have built around you, all loving it, and you see like people engaging with it and being helped by it and that kind of stuff. When the founder or person that's like bringing through that creative intentionality or divine creativity through their personality, it's like a complete knowing. There's no business plan associated with that. It's like, oh man, we're going this way. And everybody, and then people are like, well, what do you mean you're going that way? You don't even know what's over there. And you're like, doesn't matter. This is the way we're going. We'll figure it out when we get there or on the way. Exactly. The conventional business folks, they don't understand. When I had a moment in my business a couple years in where the business was growing so fast and it was just doubling and tripling every year. I haven't had investors. I wasn't taking outside financing, was just putting all the money back in and just like watching this thing grow, pop out geometrically in different directions. And it really was like, I was like getting away from me. I was like holding on to threads to keep track of all the supply chain and the production and all the different things. So I brought a conventional business wisdom, knowledge, seasoned, older guy, like, and heck of a nice guy, really good guy. But when the language started turning on about, we got to fill the top of the funnel, we got to get some bench on, some depth on the bench here with our team, and we got to drive top line sales, and like, where's your sales department? I'm like, we don't have one. We don't do sales here. There's absolutely, in fact, in the original blueprint of the company, there's no out-facing sales mechanism, what have you whatsoever, to the whole organism. It is a like offering of this is available, and then the beautiful birds come and like feed off of the tray of birdseed that's just being like offered. And they feel safe and welcome. They're not being pressured, so they like come even more, and boy, it took probably at least 3 years to let the influence of that type of a consciousness and that type of approach, which I went along. I mean, I volunteered. I brought the guy in. I asked him to help me, in the way that he was able. but it really was like 3 years before all of the bench left, and things kind of got back to a place where, I think one of the last vestiges of his presence kind of left the team, and I went to the next team meeting and said, okay, this is so good. Now we can get back to the business. I said, now we can get back to what it is that is really how this thing was intended to be operated, which is it has to be fun. It has to be pretty easy. Can't be brain surgery. I really don't like working that hard. So like, we just have like this opportunity to do this creative, loving, benevolent, awesome thing that we can make available and offer. And so much without all the like, we gotta go, we gotta drive, we gotta move it, we gotta like, okay, man, it feels really unnatural. I don't know.
It's funny you should say that, because I think that's an important part. One of the things that I think that happens when you develop and cultivate a successful brand like you have, starting from literally nothing, and it organically grows to a certain point. And with that growth, there's all sorts of different challenges, that come in. Everything, like you said, from taxes and spreadsheets and hiring people and you supply chain, like there's all of a sudden you find yourself doing all these things. And it's very easy, and this happens a lot to founders, I think, is you start getting into areas outside your sweet spot of fun. And I've experienced this at times where it's like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up for talking to, I want to talk to the little old lady that has a bowel issue that I can help treat. I want to talk to the guy that's, that every time he eats this food gets inflamed, or like, I really like the people side of the impact of the company. And then you're in these meetings, and like you said, we're looking at margins, we're looking at growth things, we got to do this. And it's like, oh, wait a second. Oh, I don't know if I like all this sort of stuff, right? It's like, but there's also this, almost like a duty that, oh, I need to do this because it's part of the mission. How do you balance that piece between following your intuitive nature and then making sure that the structure of the business is operational, but not getting too hung up on the growth equation? Because I think there's a drive in businesses that if you're not growing at some phenomenal rate, there's a problem. Like, you're not maximizing your market share, or you're not growing, you know what I mean? Like,
right. You're not scaling. You're not out there like winning every day. I think that the brand has a place in the market. I think that it has, that's a all kind of complicated question you just asked, because I will say I've learned through the stick as much as I've learned through the carrot on some of these things. For me, I'm a very self-responsible person. I really notice when somebody gives me a hand up or offers me some sage advice, something like that. It really is meaningful to me. I appreciate it. I'll say through the experience of learning how to work with employees, for instance, as one small part of the business, I've learned I can't really make a ton of accommodations for people. I need to actually understand and learn what the legitimate rules and like ways of properly working with or having people work with me are, because so many examples of I make accommodations and create wiggle room to like accommodate somebody's personal request for something related to employment. And in the end, almost everyone, I think probably every one of those things has come back to bite me. So,
yeah,
I keep getting whacked
right
in the back of the
well,
neck.
it's kind of like product quality, right? It's kind of like product quality. If you're producing a really high-end product, there are certain parameters that makes a high-end product versus a Me Too product. and you can't compromise those. You just can't.
Anywhere. You have to, like, every little step of the thing is absolutely essential. And it is a architecture that's built from every little piece and the integrity of all the pieces coming together to make something radical that is in alignment with the rest of what we're doing. And I think you have so many products. How many products do you guys have?
I lost count, you know.
Yeah, dozens. You have dozens. It's amazing when we get our passion and we get excited and we start really drilling into like a specific sort of zone of how we can help support the body. I think Sun Potion has like 68 products or something.
Is it 68 now? You've got 68 products. I got to get a new catalog from you guys. I'm not updated, right?
So I mean, when we're doing that, there's so many opportunities to cut corners, whether it's costing or material. The material is really the easiest one, but we don't do that, just like you guys don't. I mean, you can tell when I'll be honest, I don't have a ton of experience going through all of the different things in your line, but I have a few. And I can tell just from the first time I picked up one of your bottles of enzymes, I was like, oh, this is the best stuff probably at Air One, or it's like, this is the good stuff.
Funny you should say that. I want to comment about that because I will literally, one of the things I love to do is to walk through natural health food stores. And
it's my favorite.
I'm an
enthusiast too.
And I kind of go into the aisle and products literally draw me, like, what's that? And it's like on the bottom shelf of the second row or whatever. And it's, and I pick it and I'm instantly attracted and I can feel this magnetic, and I look at it and I don't know I'm like, I need to buy this. I don't know why I need to buy it. I just know that I've got to have this product. And I come home and then the next thing you know, 2 days later, I'm in a restaurant and I meet the owner and he explains to me what
energy, right? Yeah, it's just energy.
And people think that's crazy, but it's great to have someone that feels the same thing.
And we're crusaders in these things that we're doing. And we have to, I feel it is, I have not been around as long as some of my role models and things, but I have been around a little bit of time, and it is so much fun to support somebody who's doing something awesome in this segment of the world, in this segment of health. And it's like, I love buying other people's products and having them around. I'll be honest, I don't necessarily always take them, but it's kind of nice to get the vibe off of them and feel them and, you know, have them around. People come to my house and they're like, women come to my house and they go into the bathroom and they come out and they're like, you have like a lot of natural products, body care things. Like, that's pretty impressive. Like, I kind of just want to spend a couple hours in the bathroom. Like, go ahead. But it's fun, right? I mean, it's like, you know, it's like a person that restores cars. They're going to have a bunch of just car things around their house all the time. I mean, it's their passion. It's their excitement. It's a fun little thing to get into.
I think we kind of share some ways of how things happen for us company-wise and stuff. I'll get to some practical questions, I think, for our listeners that might not be familiar with your brand or what you're doing or tonics or these types of things. What are maybe some go-to products that you feel are things that are most necessary in today's world? We're in the middle of a pandemic. People are in a high stress situation. They might not be taking best care of yourselves. Maybe what are some of the top things that you would suggest would be something people might want to look to or try for different reasons?
So we'll just make this so like the simples, the basics, the straightforwards.
Beautiful.
What are the outcomes that we're looking to support in the body? I just mentioned the Makona praerians. The Makona praerians, that extract has 15% levodopa, which is the immediate chemical precursor to dopamine in the neurotransmitter cascade. So what is that doing is nourishing healthy levels of dopamine in the nervous system. So dopamine, of course, is responsible for like all of our feelings of like peace, contentment, joy, really like all the nectar. I want the nectar, so I want that one. I'll have that, please. And then secondly, it's nice to have a general adaptability and responsiveness to the generalized stressors of our surroundings. Ashwagandha, boom, helps normalize sleep cycle, helps extend periods of deep restful sleep, nourishes the thyroid, is great for balancing both androgen and female hormones, supports an adaptable mood, supports an adaptable immune system, is helpful for the libido. I mean, that, just like a catch-all, like supple, adaptable piece. And then you mentioned some of the health challenges and things in our environment today. I want to nourish an adaptable and robust immune system. So I want my immune system to modulate its response given the threat. So if I'm walking down the street and I pass someone with like just dripping of the flu, that I have a robust immune system to like keep that off of me. Hopefully it doesn't even get onto me, kind of a thing. And then, but I also want an adaptable and supple immune system so that when I walk outside and I get blasted with a face full of pollen coming up, not here yet in California, but coming on after like the rains and the, the spring, everything starts greening up and some pollen comes around. You can get a histamine response, overactive immune response. So you're getting like sinus and inflammation and that kind of thing. Or autoimmune is very common these days, inflammation in the body, that kind of thing. So we want robust and strong and supple and adaptable. This is how many of these adaptogenic tonic herbal plants work with the body, is robust and strong and adaptable. So I want the Makona praerians to feel joyous and free and have levity in my life. I want the ashwagandha extract to help with just a general stress response so I can feel more centered, more present, more available to my surroundings, and I can make better decisions. And I want to have a strong, robust, modulated immune system. I'm going to get that from having one of our mushrooms. Take your pick, doesn't matter. The reishi, lion's mane, agaricus blazei, chaga, cordyceps, they're all gonna provide that immune modulation, and then they have different nuances depending on, cordyceps is more of an aerobic yang sort of an energy. Reishi is more of a like spiritist, nourishing, like divine mother kind of a feel to it. Agaricus blazei is fantastic for balancing blood sugars. Lion's mane has a cognitive, like cognition, brain support aspect to it. So I get my, just take your pick of one of those. Yeah, 3 of them. Easy. 3, half teaspoon to a teaspoon of each, and put it in your coffee or tea or latte, what have you, in the morning. And just do that every day. You put those 3 jars next to where you make your latte on a little intentional food altar, call it. Have your special spoon, your like little heirloom sugar spoon from grandma with the gold filigree on it or whatever.
Love it.
Your boat, and you have that on top of the jar. And every day, your subconscious is talking to you every time you walk in the kitchen. Oh, that's our thing that we're doing. That helps us acknowledge to ourselves how much we love ourselves and we're taking care of ourselves. And I get to take that again tomorrow morning. It's a lot easier to have compliance when we have it out, available, visible, and it's not hiding in the back of the cupboard, These things don't work at all if you don't take them. They don't work.
I find it so interesting that if you were down here at the Biohome, I have the exact same setup. I have my go-tos right there in plain sight. And I also have a cupboard where I have a storage of products. I have a shelf. And if I find myself lacking in a certain area or an area that I'm like, I'm a little bit this or that, and then I go, I need to go into the shelf. And I'm like, Bob made this product that I gotta, and then I've got to take it out And I got to do exactly what you said. I've got to put it in the line
Yeah.
of sight. So it becomes into my awareness and I see it. And I'm like, got to take that this morning with my morning routine, or I got to take it in the, like, and I have now I've had to make an evening
Ooh.
offering right by, before I go to bed, I have a little lamp beside my thing. I have that one there. I have one in my main kitchen, and then I have one in my morning. So I have 3 locations.
I love it.
One in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening,
Yep.
wherever I happen to be.
I love that you keep the backups on hand too. You're like, it's, we do that. I keep like a wellness, like, apothecary.
Yes.
Of all these things that some of them are from friends' brands. Most of it's just a ton of Sun Potion stuff. But I can go there and, do the special code on the arsenal and then pop the safe doors open. And it's like light is shining out and I'm like, oh, I get this one and that one, and put them over in the special place. Absolutely.
I noticed I was down hanging out with Paul Check recently at his birthday, and he does a similar thing. Paul's
a lot of my friends were there.
Yeah, Paul's got, for example, like, he's very much into creating kind of this Native American smoke style with the bags, and he has different herbs and the different oils and everything all sitting there, like right there in the present. So you see it, and you're like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this. Or like if it's not front of mind, it doesn't happen. Any other things that you suggest to people in, cultivating the use of some of the products that you offer, or how they go about it?
And now for a Bioptimizers fixed digestion tip: supercharge your protein shake. Everyone knows protein shakes are a great way to sneak in extra protein, build more muscle, even replace meals and burn more fat. The problem is the highest quality protein typically absorbs at around 40%. One way to fix this and dramatically increase how quickly and effective your protein shake digests is to add 2 to 3 capsules of masszymes into your shake. One research study showed that pre-digested protein during a meal increased muscle growth significantly. To take advantage of this, just blend the open capsules into your shake, and within 15 minutes or less, the enzymes will have begun to break down the protein into amino acids. This can make your shakes at least 2 to 3 times more potent. Some people do this and sip on their shake while lifting to provide their muscles with a steady stream of amino acids during their workout. To save 10% on masszymes, use the code SHAKE10, that's SHAKE10, at masszymes.com. That's SHAKE10 at masszymes.com.
Probably easiest is just to keep things as simple as possible. I think I'm learning recently the lessons about sweetness. To me, I'm learning this whole new lesson about sweetness is coming in as like success and sweetness. There's not success without sweetness. We've got to be sweet to ourselves, to each other. So I love the Sun Potion Solar Rose Water. It's a beautiful, like, man, that is some sweetness right there. It has this totally feminine grace, like, feeling as it hits the skin or all over the body, whatever. And it's made from these Hindu nuns in Rishikesh or Vrindavan, I forget exactly, but it's so like total sweetness. So, I mean, if you're going to just want to do a little bit of positive every day, you just need something to like come down after you get out of the traffic, or you have a rough Zoom call with your team and you need a little refresh. Get some sweetness going. You got to get some of that rose water on there. Now, I will say my personal excitement in the last 3 years has been these Sun Potion Transcendent Elixirs. And these are liquid. They come in a bottle. They're liquid. There's 5 examples of single plants, but there are 3 different types of extracts of each of those plants. So like shatavari, for instance, it's going to have a mineral ash of the shatavari. It's like 100 to 1 ash. Like they incinerate it basically in this clay pots, in these urn. in like a kiln, wood burning kiln. So that gives like the mineral chalice, like the vessel for the rest of the extracts to hang within. And then we have a supercritical CO2, which is kind of like a essential oil, basically, almost of the plant that goes into that. And then we have another like a hydroethanolic resinous paste that goes into that. And these things, there's a way that, and I make these things myself, which is like just a really fun thing for me to do. It's probably my favorite thing these days, is going in the lab at our facility and making this stuff. Basically, we kind of alchemize it all together, homogenize it, get it all to stand up and be there. And what we're doing is taking the full spectrum of the plant's chemistry, and we're hyper concentrating 3 different windows of chemistry. And then we're recombining them and suspending them in water and getting them to all stand up together with a little bit of alcohol to preserve them and a little bit of honey just to balance the flavor and that kind of thing. But they're not, I mean, they're called the Transcendent Elixirs for sure, for a reason. They're strong, they're powerful. I mean, these things are like straight to the Godhead. Like, it's just instant samadhi. They're awesome. They're so fantastic. I mean, that's what I love. That's what I take regularly. I mean, I have all the powders around, and I go to and get the powders from time to time. But when it comes right down to it, I'm like taking little 5-dropperfuls, or just taking little sips off of these little Transcendent Elixir bottles every day. I love that.
I love it. So what do you see happening currently? I'm going to step back, because I think you're an influencer, and obviously you're in a great mental space. You're operating a company under the current chaos that's spread across the world. And I think, how do you see the current, I would say, authoritarian crisis playing out, its impact on the health community, in fact, on our world in general, and maybe what the opportunity is? I'd like to know how you see things as they currently are.
Thank you for asking. I think this is an important question for us to be talking about, and to also remember to talk about this question in like a very loving and accepting kind of a way, because I think a lot of us have, whether they're close family members or friends, or maybe even we employ staff that, the company's on like a super like clear health, crusader mission. And then some gal from the office walks in and goes, "God, my arm hurts. I just got the ouchie yesterday and I'm really not feeling good." Yeah, I think this whole topic, and not only just this topic, but when we talk about social things, when we talk about all the spiraling confusion and polarities that are running rampant in the last couple of years, I think it all kind of goes back to the question of self-responsibility. Am I going to be a person who's responsible for my body, who's responsible for my sovereignty, for my state of mind, for my peace of mind, for the peace between my mind and my heart? Am I going to be a person who lives in my body and allows and listens to my heart and to the wisdom that's happening in my own body? And then am I going to take personal responsibility to go out to my surroundings and do judicious examination of data and facts and information, and then assess how am I going to interact with these surroundings? There's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of polarity things. How am I going to get grounded in my system so I can see through with transparency through all the baloney, and I can make decisions that are right for my being, for my body? And then when I start doing that, it builds confidence and clarity in my own body, in my own system. And if I'm doing things like taking your products or taking Sun Potion regularly, And, you know, I think this is a real service that we're offering humanity at this time, because if the body's not chemically and otherwise supported, if the microbes are off in the gut, if the food's not able to be digested when we consume it, that kind of stuff, or if chemically we're just all out of sorts and in imbalance in our body, you know, we can start taking Bioptimize, we can start taking Sun Potion to like augment and make our system more chemically adaptable to our surroundings. We're going to start feeling better. We're going to have more clarity of vision, of transparency through confusing situations. And we're going to have more confidence, really, to start making decisions that are right for us. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, I've had family members that have made decisions without consulting me that I'm really disappointed to hear about, and I can see them suffering from it. I've had close friends do the same. I mean, you try and make it clear to everybody, like, I'm like full all in to be supportive in any way I can for everybody's adaptable, resilient, radiant health in their organic human nature. But sometimes friends or people or folks, you know, they make their own decision, or maybe even without really thinking about it. And I think, yeah, it's a matter of, I don't know, loving them, forgiving them, thanking them, asking them if they need anything. They don't, the other lesson I've learned is I can't do anything to change or really influence anybody if they don't want it. So make the information available and try to be helpful. And other than that, just gotta love them and say it's gonna be right for you, whatever your path is.
I think that's very wise words, and it's something that we always have to remind ourselves. Of course, we're on the front lines of, I would say, natural health advocacy through traditional methods, and you know, your brand, your product stands the testament that it elicits that and does that sheerly on, as you said, the product quality and the people who advocate for it because they feel and know the difference. And the thing is when someone feels and knows the difference, it doesn't need to be forced upon others. It shines forth in itself. And if the challenge, and I face this challenge myself because I've had similar situations for you into this current time, and it's like, the challenge is, well, I don't know. All I can do is make the best choices for myself. And here's how I can advocate for you to make the best choices for you. But therefore, I'm not attached. I'm not the be all and end all. I don't know everything, nor do I want to project judgment on someone else because that's decisions they make, because I'm asking for people close to me or outside of my sphere of influence to not project judgment onto myself for my own decisions. So it's a combination of watching that boomerang effect and going, oh, I'm getting hooked. I'm getting hooked into that thing. And for myself, that's been the dance that I've done through this whole process. But it feels like the tides are changing. It feels that more people are kind of questioning, and I'm hopeful that it will reawaken a attention towards the offerings that we provide people and the people in our industry, I think, that are doing the same thing. And it's kind of like there's a saying, there's a biblical saying that I think is really profound, and it says, the meek shall inherit the earth. But if you actually study what the meek meant, it was those who keep their swords sheathed. In other words, they don't necessarily use them, but they're more than capable people. And I think the more that you get in tune with kind of the ideals that you advocate, but you can discover through meditation and self-discovery in those areas, the more that you influence people without saying anything or out doing anything, the radiance of yourself shines forth and people are attracted to it. Some people are repelled by it, obviously, and that's just the nature of the game.
Well, something I find so frankly heartbreaking is to see all the polarity and all the separation and all the, even I can't even begin to tell you how many how many friends and associates and compatriots I have that are estranged from their parts of their families because of these ideologies that are, call them whatever you want, programs, agendas, whatever, or just information, just different views. But if I have something that I think could be helpful to someone else that I could share with them, but I begin the conversation with the judgmental thing, people don't, it's pretty natural. People don't like that. It just like puts the foot right, stepping right into the polarity trap. So we got to figure out a way to like love the people that are in polarity with us and like have a level of seeing them and trying to understand them. We don't have to necessarily do what they're doing, obviously, but I think there's been this like rapid dissolution of all kind of traditionally firm foundations of reality have just been getting like blown away like dust, like at a eye-watering pace. And boy, that's not really, for me personally, that's not my preference. I like the way things have been for a long time. You know, I like having sort of a traditional sense of reality, but I think there is really something to that of like being present, knowing what we know, and being available to share. And there's a lot of I think a lot of, you mentioned that it feels like tides are turning and like maybe there's kind of more people coming to similar conclusions. I think there's been an absence of courage, a lot of moments along the last, call it 2 years, what have you. So I think there is something to be said for knowing what we know comfortably enough that we're comfortable to speak and speak clearly so that we can be heard if someone's interested in listening, and knowing where we're at or knowing where we stand. Yeah, self-knowing. I gotta love people. Can't judge them because then they're just gonna want to fight more. More unity. Like if I don't want to fight, I can't be judging. But also arming myself with the personal knowledge of who I am and where I stand with these things, arming myself with the data and scholastic understanding. So if there's a person who actually wants to have a sophisticated, nuanced, data-driven discussion, and unfortunately there aren't many of those people around these days, it feels like, but I personally love that stuff. So I like equip myself with an understanding so that I'm able to have a meaningful discussion, or at least I'm able to, like, in logic and in intentionality, like parse things apart and make sense of complicated issues. There's a lot of layers to it, but I think we can all do it. We're all taking the right stuff to be able to, like, fortify our bodies, to be able to support a system that then puts us in the right state so that hopefully that we can rise to our best occasion and, you know, impress ourselves with how magnanimous and kind and thoughtful and all the things that we possibly can be.
That's great. There's two principles in physics. Most people are familiar with the first, and that is the laws of entropy, which is organized systems tend to descend into chaos over time. There was another researcher that actually discovered another aspect of entropy, is that chaotic systems tend to reorder into higher, more complex, sophisticated systems. And I think that I'm not sure if we've bottomed out to where it starts to reorganize into a more synchronized system, but I would believe that we have gone through an entropic moment here in time, but the opportunities to reformulate into something that is even better will emerge at some point in the future. And in the meantime, it's best to take care of ourselves, take care of our health, ensure that we are able to keep connected and peaceful, and to be able to accurately look at things without over emotionalized, but using emotions in a positive way to send out good and to be good and to activate good, as opposed to see it as a form of division. And I think there's a lot of alignment between us. Can you share where people can find out more about Sun Potion, your offerings, where they can get all this stuff? Because I know some of my listeners are going to want to grab some of your cool products and use them. Just for people who want to know, I'm a big advocate of Sun Potion. I love the brand. I love the products. I love what you represent. And I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to share with our listeners and about how your company was formed and how that all happens. It was lovely to hear, by the way, because I didn't know the background and history. So for me, that just made my own personal response to this is like, oh, he's one of like my type. Like, this is exactly how things happen for me. I could totally get it. Whether anybody else gets it or not, I don't know, but I really love that part. And so how can people find out more about you, your products, and your company?
Yes, please and thank you. Just before that, I would mention a lot of this that we've been talking about is just keeping a positive state in the body. Like, if we can keep our harmonics high, that's going to help everything be a little bit easier along these like little rocky patch that we're all possibly soaring over right now. So here's I'll leave the listeners with a brief little trick that was shared with me from a friend, Howard Wales in Kauai. You can just say yes. Yes, 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 yes. Say it 100,000 times. I mean, just say it over and over again and notice how it feels in your body. I mean, I feel fantastic when I say sit for 5, look at the clock, sit for 5 minutes, put a smile on your face and just start saying yes. And if you're in a funk, that is like a rapid way to like shift gears and get kind of back on track. That being said, yes, yes, yes. sunpotion.com. You can find all of these lovely things at places like the local juicery in Sedona, at places like Air One Markets in the greater Los Angeles area, at Kauai Juice Cafe. I mean, if you look on our website, you can look for local municipal like stores in your area on a store locator, but sunpotion.com is a direct and simple and easy way to find all of these products. We keep them all in stock and you'll see them real time there. One nice thing is we do all of our own distribution and freight and everything. So there's a pretty good chance that when you place your order, like within like 2 hours, it's in a box and has a label on it and is going out the door that day. Of course, please, you're welcome to look at Sun Potion on Instagram. There's a beautiful kind of pictorial history and storyline of the brand that comes through there, recipes and things like that. We do have a journal aspect on sunpotion.com with a lot of recipes and pictorial story kind of visual things. So you're invited to check them out. And we can actually make, I don't think we set this up beforehand, but I'd be happy to make a Bioptimizers discount code for your friends if you would like that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Great. So if they just type in Bioptimizers in all caps, then there'll be 15% there for them on the website.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you.
Of course. My pleasure.
I really appreciate that. Scott, thank you for sharing your time. For all our listeners, go to sunpotion.com, put in bioptimizers.com, get your 15% discount. That was unadvertised and unexpected. So thank you for that. And more importantly, give some of these products a try. I know they make a difference in my life. Many of my friends and advocates and many of the industry insiders have been using Sun Potion for years. And believe me, you will enjoy those offerings from Scott and his company and his brand. Thanks so much for joining us today on the Awesome Health Podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
At Bioptimizers, our mission is to fix digestion. And a cornerstone of digestion is gut flora. P3OM is our patented probiotic formula. In fact, we call it the Navy SEALs of probiotics. You see, strong proteolytic or protein digesting activity is paramount to having a healthy gut flora. And of course, P3OM provides that. The good news is, unlike weaker probiotics, P3OM survives the digestion process. What it does is it basically multiplies the good guys while protecting you against pathogens, or what some people call the bad guys. P3OM really helps to rebuild your digestion. And what that allows you to do is to maximize nutrient uptake, energy, and metabolism. To find out more of how P3OM can help you, go to www.bioptimizers.com.
Thank you for listening to the Bioptimizers Awesome Health Podcast. You can find more information at bioptimizers.com.